Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fundy Tidings. I'm your host, Jay Remer, and with me today is my old friend, Carol Gamblin. Carol has started a new initiative called Connection NB, and that is why she is here today. So, Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm here to visit with you as well.
Well, of course. It's one of the few times I get to chat with some people.
Yes.
But this is a very interesting and exciting program, Carol, and I'm wondering if you could just sort of give us an outline of it.
Certainly. Well, Connection NB, or Connection New Brunswick, is a program that will be volunteer-led. I'm the coordinator for St. Andrews. But the volunteers will be looking at being contacted. Participants would register with our program, either by calling me or through email. We'll have a website up. The website's up now. And once we've connected a volunteer and a participant, the volunteer is going to look at connecting the participant, who would be a senior, 65 plus in most cases, with the services and resources programs that we have in Charlotte County. We have so many wonderful assets here. Not everybody knows what's here.
So is this, I don't mean to interrupt, but is this is a program for a specific demographic, or who is this program kind of designed for?
It's for older adults who are struggling, not in a crisis, not in an emergency, but they've got some areas, whether it's health, mental health, finances, loneliness, isolation, feeling just bored and not with a purpose. And we're looking at, okay, are you accessing all of the financial supports that are available to you? Are you connecting with, are there people you want to connect with, but you're just not sure about how to approach them or who to call or the name of the contact person, but you'd like to be involved in something, you'd like to volunteer for something, you'd like to join a group, the Kiwanis, the Rotary, and the lesser well-known groups. So we have a database with a lot of information. Many of the agencies and resources in Charlotte County have been very kind and given me lists upon lists of who to call, who to call if you want to be involved in. If you want to play bingo, there's the TV bingo, there's the radio bingo. If you want to, if you're interested in an arts program, are you aware of Sunbury Shores? Are you aware of the different workshops and things that people have? And we're trying to get all of the organizations and assets, the big ones, the little ones. We're trying to get them all in this computer base. One of the things that we're looking for the public is to help us with, if there's something you think that's going on, if you've started a book club and you're willing to accept new members, we'd like to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. So you're sort of a concierge service for people who are experiencing unnecessary stress and suffering because of it. And so as a community, you would like people who would like to connect with seniors and be helpful to connect with you.
Yes, if someone identifies as being willing to volunteer with the Connection NB program, we'd be looking at giving them the basic Red Cross training that all the volunteers take, but then we have specialized training that covers, the ups and downs, the ins and outs of the paperwork we need, little bits of notes we need taken, that sort of thing, and a little bit of role playing about what it's like to go into someone's home and meet them and visit with them and get to know them, form a relationship with them, and be able to suggest, have you thought about this program? Are you aware that, you could volunteer with a reading program at the school? Nobody knows all of the programs and services. For one thing, they change. Wonderful services, unfortunately, we lose them. Great new services pop up. And if you're not sort of minding that and keeping an eye on that continually, it's really hard to keep track of.
It has been a perennial problem, keeping track of all the resources. It doesn't matter who I'm sitting here talking to. It's a challenge. It's kind of like keeping your address book up to date. It's just impossible for some reason. But at any rate, it seems that there are resources available to most people for physical needs. And, like I need help with transportation, or I need help shopping, or that kind of thing. But the emotional support, which so many people need, is not advocated for until now, it seems.
One of the big things that we're looking at is the spiral of loneliness and isolation. If you're not feeling connected with the community, if you're not out and doing things, accessing programs, going places, seeing people, then it breeds more of the same. You sort of you get stuck there sometimes. It can happen. And what we're hoping is to just be able to help people get a little unstuck, whether it's introducing them to someone who's has a walking group or a book club or a formal organization like the Lions or the Legion. Maybe they just need a little help making that connection. And for the basic needs, for things like the home heating supplement, the property tax benefit for seniors, those kinds of things. As many years as I've worked with the public, paperwork and the fear of paperwork can really just stop somebody in their tracks. They might be eligible, it might be a service or a program they really need, they really want, they know about it, and they're stuck. They just need a little help, perhaps, with the paperwork, with asking questions about the paperwork, filling out something online. Some people are completely comfortable with computers, tablets, smartphones. Some people of any age just don't care that much for that particular branch of technology.
I think seniors are especially, I'm actually a senior, and I remember when we didn't have computers. And there's certain things about computers that I don't get, and I'm really not that interested in getting. But they are necessary. So I need help sometimes. And even though that's not really an emotional problem, it is nonetheless a problem that's getting in my way. But I think that one of the things you pointed out was the concept of isolation and loneliness. And actually, we are in a crisis dealing with loneliness is an epidemic. And I think that people who I'm hoping that our viewers will come to realize that if they are feeling lonely, they are not alone actually in that, and that there are ways of reaching out. But it's very difficult when you're in that situation to actually reach out. So I'm wondering, people who want to become part of this would become volunteers, and they would be the eyes in the community seeing people who are in need. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the concept of volunteering for this kind of a program and the benefits to those people who decide to do that.
Certainly. I know anything I've ever volunteered for that's been, a community event, a community project, there's such a feeling of contributing, of being involved, being engaged, and there are so many side benefits, because if you're out and you're volunteering and you're meeting people, you may be there the volunteer may be there with their tablet with this database of information, And the participant may end up telling us about the book club or the walking group or the something that's on sale in the community, a wonderful sale on snow shovels just on a stormy day. By being out in the community and making connections, talking with people, you get all sorts of streams of information and knowledge. And we're hoping that it will go from the volunteer to the participant to volunteer. As the community coordinator, I'm going to be mixed up in the whole thing there. And we're really hoping to make an impact in people's lives and enhance their day-to-day living, improve their quality of life.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I mean, it could become like a giant resource, which could be it's trying to be replicated in different communities already. Now, this is a function of the Red Cross, I think you mentioned.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, is this a new initiative by the Red Cross, or is this something that has been tried other places?
This is brand new for the Red Cross and brand new for New Brunswick. And there are 4 communities where they're running this as a pilot project for 1 year. And we're hoping, of course, we go well beyond the 1 year, the 1 year pilot. We're here down in St. Andrews, and the other communities are St. John, Moncton, and Miramichi. And each of those communities will have a coordinator. Each of those communities will have a team of volunteers. Once you're trained as a volunteer and you're going out and you're making visits, we intend to have ongoing support and training for the volunteers to debrief, to problem solve, to just share our experiences. And hopefully we won't be doing a lot of this by Zoom. Hopefully, as of January 2022, we'll be doing many things in person. The home visits will be in person. Some of the participant registrations might even be in person. A person would either register themselves for this program, or they would call me at 469-4192, or they would go on a website, or we have an email. And once they're registered or someone registers them for the program with their permission, then we'll reach out, we'll be in touch, we'll start talking, we'll start visiting and figuring out. Sometimes what the needs aren't clear even to the person who's struggling. Or they may have so many diverse needs that it's difficult to settle on one and tackle it and really, come to terms with it and address it. So.
Well, I think the fact that this group is getting together just to identify the needs, because I don't think it's a big surprise. Most of the needs that are, a lot of the clientele that you're going to be getting are dealing with poverty issues. And you don't have a checkbook to just write out checks for people, but it's a government resource issue. But you will be able to direct people to the right place, even if it's directing people to the office of the MLA or the Member of Parliament. That's a help, because so many people just don't know what to do, as you say. I know a number of people who just throw it up their hands and they say, everything goes wrong.
Oh.
Well, there's no place for them to turn. I mean, you have to get in the car and go off and help them. And that's what this group will do.
Yes, that's exactly what we're hoping for. And and we just want to make sure that we have so many wonderful resources and assets in Charlotte County and in St. Andrews, and we want to make sure that everybody is getting everything they are entitled to, everything they need. And of course, we're going to be looking at finding what needs are not being met.
Yeah, you'll be uncovering a lot of that. What have been, in your brief existence, what have been the major themes that have come through your inquirers?
Well, many people already have spoken about transportation, affordable housing, food stability, really basic needs. And absolutely, you can't, it's one thing to be upset because your perhaps isolated, you're a bit lonely, but my goodness, if you're not getting a couple of solid meals a day, that's got to be number one. So, as I said, there are people who don't realize what there is to apply for, what is available. They maybe hear that somebody somewhere got a break, but they don't know, now who did they talk to, or where did they go, or hopefully we're going to be the ones that are going to be able to answer that.
So obviously this group wouldn't have been put into existence if there wasn't a need. And so what I'm wondering is, what was the canary in the mine that said we need a group like this?
Well, even though you and I have both mentioned basic needs several times, loneliness and isolation, and the fact that more and more studies and research is showing the detrimental effect of being isolated and feeling lonely and feeling separated from your community. Friends and family, we've had all sorts of restrictions in COVID times on being able to get together. And it can be difficult to reach out, to make phone calls and send letters or do emails. It can feel awkward. People want to feel independent and strong, and they don't want to think or feel that they're needy. Well, everybody, needy means having needs, and we all have needs. And we just want to make sure that there aren't resources that aren't being used, that aren't being accessed, that people are getting the best experience they can. Mm-hmm. There's going to be many things, many problems that we're going to come up against that we're not going to be able to solve. All we're going to be able to do is sort of make a list, compile statistics about the number of people who have an issue with problem X. But that can be very helpful, because then you can go to groups, to service organizations, to churches, to government, and you can tell them what the needs are. And if you can back that up with qualitative numbers, if you have the numbers, the statistics, the statistics, exactly. If you have the numbers and if you have the stories of people, the anecdotal evidence, then you can get people moving, you can give people a direction.
Well, I would think that there are a lot of basic needs that people will be calling you about where there should be programs in place. And if there aren't programs in place, I don't think that new studies need to be made and accumulating enough data to convince someone that this is a problem. If it's a problem, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. I find that there is sometimes a difficult issue with compassion on behalf of service providers, like the government, for example. It's like, well, this is what we've got and this is the best we can do right now. And I don't blame them. They're frustrated too. We're all going through COVID. None of us are escaping it. So we're all on a bit of a short tether. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's just expounded because of this. Mm-hmm. And I hope that the solutions can come to quickly. Because people who are suffering are people who are suffering. And they're not suffering and, in 2 weeks it'll just go away. That's not the way it works. And so I'm hoping that this group will be really able to guide people to success.
Yes.
And where is the organization at the moment as far as formation and function?
Well, at this point, we're not quite ready for participants. That will be launching in January of 2022. Right now, we're getting our materials ready. We're getting the nuts and bolts gathered up in a pile. And one of the factors is volunteers. We're recruiting volunteers. They need to go through training, through Red Cross training, basic training, and then through, we have a training program of 2 half days and covers a lot of topics. it can be difficult to approach people. It can be difficult to talk to people. So we could kind of breaking down how that would work, doing role playing to see a little bit about what that feels like to do that. And there's some people who are naturals, who just they have the gift. Mm-hmm. And there are other people who need a few clues, some guidance. And so we're hoping for both possibilities. And
so is there a cost for the training?
The training is completely free. The basic Red Cross training and our 2 half-day program for Connection New Brunswick training. The program itself is at no cost to the participant. The participant would register by calling, emailing, or have someone register on their behalf mm-hmm. with their permission. Mm-hmm. We're not going to try and ambush someone and we're here to help you whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
No, that would not be cool.
So you anticipate this beginning in January. When will you be starting the training for volunteers? Because I know a lot of people will be listening to this and they will be chomping at the bit to volunteer. And of course, in the different communities, there will be different needs. So, different communities will have different problem. I mean, everybody is dealing with poverty is the number one issue, but there are different nuances.
Yes. So
when will the trainings begin?
Well, there are different times for the different communities. Our first training here will be November 15th and 16th.
So where would this information be available?
Well, information about the position would be available on the Red Cross website, the big website, and redcross.ca. has one of the tabs there is the provinces, provinces and territories. So you'd click on New Brunswick, and then another set of tabs comes up, and one of those is volunteer opportunities, and we're certainly there.
So it's Connection NB is under the volunteer opportunities on the Red Cross website.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. The 211 system. You want to talk about that for a moment?
Well, we were so excited when that's come online. That's going to be a wonderful asset. And there was someone asked me, well, doesn't that mean you're out of business with Connection MB? Isn't that your thing? And there's certainly parallels. But with 211, when you're phoning them up, you need to have a pretty clear idea of what you're looking for, what you're asking for, and you ask and you get the information. Well, if you're struggling with poverty, you can't call up 211 and say, yes, poverty, what have you got for me? What are the elements? What are the elements? Is it food insecurity? Is it, you mentioned we don't have a checkbook. We can't, unfortunately, financially support people, but we can certainly connect them. Connection NB, but we can connect them with where there are assets, where there is help, and my goodness, we certainly don't want resources sitting. Mm-hmm. We want every helping professional to be busy. We want every food bank to get the food out, and clothing drives and the coat drive and all these endeavors, all these very good things. If somebody doesn't know about them, can't get there, we're looking at problem solving around that, and what can we do, and who can we access, who can we talk to, and if we don't have it in our magic computer base, if it's not in our tablets that we're going to be using with the volunteers, then we need to dig around. Mm-hmm. We need to find it.
So you're basically going to be the safety net that we've all been waiting for.
Going to try.
Good. Well, Carol, thank you so much for coming on the show today and giving us a sort of a preview of what is ahead beginning in January, and another set of volunteer opportunities, because each community has people who are looking for things to do and want to help. We're aware of these problems. So thank you very much for being the chair of the St. Andrews branch of the Connections NB. And I'll look forward to having you back again when you're up and running, and we'll see how things are going.
Absolutely. I'd love to give you a progress report, and hopefully it'll be glowing and exciting. And thank you so much for having me today, Jay.
Thank you, Carol, for being on the show, and thank you for watching the show today. I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Fundy Tidings.